This is the book of Luke, the 12th chapter, and the second verse. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whosoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. Shalom, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, and double honors unto the elder apostles and bishops. A shalom and salutations to the hopefully elect, the household of faith. This is your brother Rabbi Yamyan here to share another lesson. And the title of this lesson is This Thing is Deep. Right? Per The Hill magazine published by Olivia Johnson, it says Missouri pastor suspended after church learns she managed Epstein's private island. So when you think that the church is a pure entity that is not involved in any nefarious means, right? Anything hidden is being revealed. Individuals are being revealed. Them knowing and not teaching the 100% truth of who the heathen are, who the Edomites are, who the nations are, and who the Israelites are not teaching it, is being revealed in these last days. Right? So Lord will in this lesson be edifying unto elect, because this thing is deep. Right? The evil that Esau has crafted through his technology and his philosophy is interwoven in political, military, religious, and socio-economics. His evil is a network, right? When you think of your car, it's like a network. You got the engine, your ignition electronics that help the car start, your starter, your alternators, the ignition coil. All these things come together with fuel and air. Your crankshaft pulley, all these things come together to turn the engine over, right? Yet the car wouldn't move. So you have your drive shafts, your transmissions, your axles, your wheel bearings, tires, wheels, rims. So a car is a networked locomotive machine, right? So Esau's evil is a well-oiled network machine, right, involving many different industries. Right? It says a pastor in Missouri was suspended last week after it was discovered she worked for and managed a private island of late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein for nearly a year. And a woman is not supposed to teach, so she was going off right then and there, especially if she's an Edomite too. All women are supposed to teach, right? But the Edomite, you're Edomite and you're a female pastor, so you're going off double time. Alright? So she's not supposed to teach. Right? Not according to me, but according to what I'm about to read in the scripture. This is a book of 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 12. It says, "But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over a man." So these are positions of men, right? Teaching in religious houses, right? The priesthood that is reserved unto men. And of the household, the authority over the household is of the man. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai first. The men worship them, and the woman is to follow her Lord, which is her husband, her man. Right? But again, First Timothy chapter 2, verse 12, I'm rushing it. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over a man, but to be in silence, right? Seen, but not heard. Alright. You see, so she was a pastor of a church, and yet still she is attending to the affairs of these people. And you also saw over the past few years, you also saw all the photos of all the high-ranking public officials that he has been involved in, that he's been involved with, musicians, entertainers. You understand? Continuing on, it says, on Tuesday, Bishop Farr of the Missouri Conference of the United Methodist Church placed Reverend Stephanie L. Remington on leave, pending a review by the Episcopal Office. Remington worked as Epstein's administrative assistant and temporary property manager of his private island, Little James, from August 2018 to May 2019. So it can be assumed that she's seen a lot of stuff within that time. You understand? All right. Epstein was arrested just 2 months later, in July 2019, for sex trafficking crimes, and then died in a cell by alleged, right? I just call it as is, man. Suicide in August. All right. Despite having worked closely with the disgraced financier, Remington told United Methodist News that she never saw Epstein or anyone commit abuse on the island. However, she did admit that when she accepted the job, she knew Epstein was a registered sex offender who had served 18 months for the conviction. Right? So these are priests. After they, not all, I don't say every last single one of them, but a lot of them, they deal falsely. And this is what the prophet Jeremiah had to deal with in his time. And this is what we have to deal with in our time. All right. And let me go into that account real quick. In the book of Jeremiah, the 6th chapter, and the 13th verse. For from the least of them unto the greatest of them, every one is given to covetousness, and from the prophet even unto the priest, every one dealeth falsely. Right? So these priests, after they desire the riches of others, right? Or what others have, their women, their wealth, right? The ability to do things in secret and no one finds out, right? That covetousness, and they lie, they deal falsely, they are hypocrites. All right, so this so-called priest that you have for the woman, the reverend, she is dealing falsely. I never saw anything, Remington told the publication. I knew him for the last 9 months of his life, well after he served time for the things that he was accused of doing. Alright, that's a picture of the private island right there. Then it says it was later discovered that her name appeared in approximately 1,800 documents of the Epstein files. So you see these priests and these pastors are being revealed on the Department of Justice website. Many of the files are emails that discuss her day-to-day work operations, News reported. At this time, At this time, Remington has not been accused of any crime and her suspension is temporary, 90 days. Church leaders reported they were only recently made aware of Remington's ties to Epstein and did not know of her previous employment. So I guess they didn't vet her properly. A process that is meticulously done, right, to put a priest over the people. All right. It says the Missouri Conference, had no knowledge of the individual's association with Mr. Epstein. Clergy serving in extension ministry operate outside a local church appointment and report their ministry setting through annual paperwork submitted to the conference. The Missouri Conference said no information indicating this association was disclosed in any of those reports. The bishop and district superintendent were not contacted about the individual's interest in or acceptance of the Epstein-related position. Before working for Epstein, Remington served as a pastor, an associate pastor at several churches across Missouri from 2001 to about 2008. That's a long history, man. Her employment history includes 2 churches in Kansas City Metro. The First United Methodist Church in North Kansas City and the Summit United Methodist Church in Lee's Summit. So lucky. According to the Missouri Conference, though Remington claimed in her annual paperwork that she had performed extension ministry through the Lewis Center for Church Leadership at Wesley Theological Seminary during the time she worked for Epstein and as recently as 2025. However, as part of the early review process, it was discovered that Remington had not worked for the Wesley Theological Seminary for all those years, she claimed, having been appointed as a part-time contractor in only 2017 and 2018. So you see, so these people are profane, man, you know. And again, that's what our ancestor Prophet Jeremiah had to deal with. He had to deal with these scoundrels in his time. Alright. This is Jeremiah chapter 23 and 11. It says, "For both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith Yahweh. Wherefore all way shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on and fall therein." Alright, let me see some. I'm going to go into the blue letter. I'm going to check some out. Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 11. "For both prophet and priest are profane." Right? Let's go into that word profane. Right? To be profaned, to be defiled, polluted, be corrupt, right? To be godless. To pollute, to make profane, make godless, cause to be defiled. Man, you in a position in the church where this should not be. So we have devils amongst us, man. Right? In my house have I found their wickedness, saith Yahweh. Wherefore their way shall be slippery ways in the darkness. Let's go into that words for slippery way. I don't want to butcher it. Right? Flattery, slipperiness, fine promises, smoothness. Right? Pretty much deceiving the people. Strong's definition. Properly, something very smooth, treacherous, spot. Figuratively, blandishment, flattery, slippery. Right? Treacherous and deceitful. Right? Treacherous and deceitful. Verse 12. Wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on and fall thereon. Right? And the Most High is going to destroy them. For I will bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, saith the Lord our power, Yahweh. Right? So these are their ways, man. And the prophet Jeremiah, he saw this dealing with the various priesthood back then. And we see this in these different religious denominations today. Continuing on, it says this alleged false documentation, right, in congruence with the Epstein files, led the Missouri Conference to issue the suspension. Clergy are called to uphold the highest standards, correct, of spiritual and moral leadership. Concerns of this nature are taken seriously. So at least they have some kind of spiritual and moral upright authority. Or had they known this whole time and not did anything and waited, and it's only because of exposure, then they suspend her. Who knows? Right? It says we recognize the deep harm connected to Mr. Epstein's crimes and remain in prayer for survivors who deserve healing and justice. All right? And that brings us to the end of this article. So like as I mentioned, Esau's evil is a network, and a lot of people do not understand how this world is ran. They do not know that this man is the evil that the Bible speaks of, the border of wickedness. They do not know or understand that the earth is given into his hand. This world is this man's, is Esau's playground right now. All right? And one of the, like I mentioned with the engine and the car in the beginning of the lesson, the former U.S. president back in the 60s, what's his name? JFK, and I was listening to a speech from him, and he pretty much, gave detail of it. All right? So yeah, I give credit where credit is due, because, he was a part of it, and he saw certain things, right? So I'm just play his account real quick, because it's really monolith and ruthless. This thing is vast, right? You have spies amongst us, spies amongst the brothers. It is crazy, man. So you just need to be vigilant in these last days. So this thing is deep. So I'll end with this, playing the account with JFK. So fair use. Let's see.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies.
Fair use. My channel is not monetized. I'm using your video for commenting and teaching purposes. Fair use.
To secret oaths and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
Right, and he was assassinated not long after this speech. So you have a lot of, false prophets involved in a lot of nefarious and evil deeds in the society. Again, this whole thing is like a vast network. All right, so until next time. Shalom.